All right, this section is on big business. So this is industrialization, the third part out of four that you're going to have for the industrialization unit. So in this video, you're going to be introduced to some of the vocabulary terms that you will need to know, some of the important people of this time period in the late 19th century. And I want you guys to think about the idea, were these guys a blessing to the people, or were they a curse to the people? Because much good will come from this time period, but also a lot of bad as well. So that's something we will be exploring. So we'll be talking about Rockefeller and Carnegie and Gould and Vanderbilt and J.P. Morgan and many others in this section. So the United States is a capitalist economic system. So people have the freedom to start up any business they want. The government does not regulate what is bought and sold. People have that free enterprise system in place to do what they want. And one of the ideas that took place after the Civil War was developing corporations. So a corporation is an organization where a lot of people own part of this company, but they're treated by law as a person. So it can own property, it pays taxes, they can make contracts, they can sue and also be sued. And anybody that owns part of a corporation is known as a stockholder. And if you own stock in a company, this is a piece of paper that certifies that you have a part ownership in the company. So, for example, my children were given shares of Disney stock by their grandfather when they were babies. So technically, they own part of the Disney company. Andrew Carnegie is one of the first people we're going to talk about. And Carnegie was a Scottish immigrant who came over to this country very poor, lived in poverty as a boy, and he became a self-made millionaire. And he's famous for his monopoly on the steel industry. He worked his way up as an immigrant laborer to become a railroad supervisor. And then it was there that he realized that there was a lot of money to be made in steel, which the railroad depended upon heavily. So vertical integration is a vocabulary term you will need to be familiar with. And this is the idea that when a company owns all of the different businesses and what it depends on for its operation, that is vertical integration. So Carnegie Steel Company needed coal mines and limestone quarries and iron ore fields. So instead of paying other companies so that he can get these items, he just bought those companies and they became part of his empire. So vertical is going up and down, and these items are all the things that are necessary in the production of steel. So this is going to save money for the company, and which will allow him to lower his costs to drive out competitors. And once the competitors were out of business, then he was free to drive up the prices any way he saw fit. John Rockefeller also linked together with Carnegie. Carnegie's famous for steel, and Rockefeller had the monopoly on the oil industry. And rather than building an oil rig to get the oil out of the ground, like a lot of people in this time period were doing, he built an oil refinery so that he could clean and use the oil. And a lot of companies that found oil began sending it to Rockefeller to turn it into a usable product, and that's going to make him immensely rich. So Rockefeller is going to start the Standard Oil Company, and it soon became the most successful business in the country, and Rockefeller became the richest person in the entire world. And eventually Rockefeller is going to own 90% of all of the oil in the country. And pretty much it was the only option for most people. And since there was such a high demand for oil, people are going to pay his prices. So a monopoly is when one company controls almost all of the market for a certain type of business. Horizontal integration, horizon going across, this is when all of the firms are combined in the same business field into one large corporation, and Rockefeller employed this strategy. So Rockefeller achieved almost complete horizontal integration. In the area of banking, J.P. Morgan is one of the most famous investment bankers in history, and he specialized in helping companies issue stocks. So in 1901, J.P. Morgan bought out Andrew Carnegie, and Morgan merged the Carnegie Steel Company and other large steel companies into one large giant company, U.S. Steel. And this became America's first billion-dollar company. Okay, so that was a short introduction to the big business. We will talk more about that in class and work on some DBQs. So for homework, write a one-paragraph summary about what you learned in that section.